Hey people, it's Monday. Monday the 10th of July. Hope you're all doing good. I'm just getting my motor running. Matt Swick, if you see this, I'm very sorry. It took me a while. I'll be getting your CD in the mail today. Um, I've had a couple of Muse CDs seemingly get lost where I've had to send out another copy. Thankfully, that doesn't happen too much. But as a result, I have 6 or 7 physical copies of this left. And you ought to get it. So, check this out. I was asked by, let me pull this up, by a fellow by the name of Jamie. I don't know that I know his last name. He, Jamie as a party. He runs Shack in the Barley Productions out of Blackpool, UK. And a while back he started to send me his stuff to review. And I have found, I've got I think I've got a bunch of these. But over the years, I've enjoyed the stuff, and he asked me a while back if I would like to contribute to his next compilation. And like I said, based on what I had been hearing from the Golden Gonk, which is pretty creative, pretty good, interesting stuff, I said, yeah. That track that I produced for him for the compilation is what got the Muse started. I came up with this track called Croom for it's called Burning Down the Shack is the name of the compilation. It's online. It's on Bandcamp. It's a free download. I'll leave the link. But it was me creating a piece for this compilation that led to the Muse being created. And the track that's on this compilation is also on the Muse, but a different version. So if you have the Muse, the track on here named Croomy or Croom, the original version of it is on the Burning Down the Shack compilation that was released digitally 2 days ago. So I'll leave the link. Along those lines, Blake and I have started, we got to work yesterday. We actually started working on the follow-up to the Muse. I've chosen most of the material to work on, and we got started yesterday. It is it's a good challenge because the Muse turned out well. It turned out well. It's being well received. It's still selling digitally. I have. If you check, folks, look. If you want a physical copy, I've got a few left through Bandcamp. You know. So it was productive, but we didn't get anything that's going to be used yesterday because the bar is high, as I've explained. And if you see this, Blake, you can attest to it. You are a good player, but but you've had to play differently on the Muse than what you usually do, which has been a good challenge for you. And when we got started yesterday, that's what we have to do again. Is we kind of need to kind of clean his slate from the R&B and funk that he's always playing, and he plays all the time. He's in demand here in Omaha and Lincoln, playing all the time. He just played a big Blues Fest in Lincoln last weekend down at the Zoo Bar. Well-known bar. Carl Denton and a bunch of folks. Charlie Musselwhite was part of it. He's actually played with Sharon Jones, rest in peace, from the Dap Kings. He's actually performed with her. So, in order to get up to speed with what I'm doing, it's a shift, and it's a good challenge for him. It's also a good challenge for me. And so we got started, had a good session. We also had time to do some listening. I really enjoy listening to music with people, other people who really like to listen. And Blake is my dude, you know. He is. He's like another one of my kids. He brought some records by because he had bought some recently, and he kept forgetting what he had bought and wanted to show me. He got a really clean copy of The Payback by James Brown. Impressive. I have it, but it's like his is like, wow, you don't see James Brown records in this good a shape back in the day. I showed him some of mine. I don't have them here. Thought about grabbing them, but I have here what we listened to after recording. When he came over, I was listening to Can Ege Bamyasi. This is just, again, one of... It's so cool because this is the remaster. When you play it now, it sounds current. It still sounds modern, which is amazing. This came out in, what, 72, 73? Yeah, it was recorded in 1972. And this still sounds current. It's an amazing album. And this was my introduction to Can. When I first heard it, I didn't know what to think of it. And it perplexed me, actually. But this is what I was playing when he stopped by. Then we listened to some of the stuff that he brought over. Can't show you because I don't have it. But before he got here, the other thing I played, I did a blind pull out in the living room because there's these sections of records that I can't just pull from here. So I said, let me do a blind pull there, and this is what pulled, and it was like, man, that stereo out in my living room sounds so good, and it's been a long time. I love the Cocteau Twins, and it was like, man, yeah, Feathers, Ore Blades off of Lullabies, cool sound, and love those 23 envelope graphics. Just some really wonderful, iconic album covers. So what we listened to after doing some work, because I you know, I'm being real open here. I got to a point I said, okay, so you're just hearing these tracks for the first time. Let's burn a CD and have you take it home and do some homework, you know, and find your voice on these new tracks. They like them. Because that's the other thing. It's like I said, it's not a given that what I present to you that we're going to work on. If you don't respond to it or if you don't like it, we're not going to do it. And the two that I presented yesterday, he loved them. So afterwards, I said, "We have some time. Let's listen to some music." You know, and I get a cluster brain sometimes when I try to think about, oh, what do I now? So what do I play? So I just scanned, and what felt right was to play for him some Pentangle. My young white brother, son almost, Blake, loves black music, loves funk, plays a lot of blues. And so consequently, there's a lot of music that he doesn't know about and ought to, like Pentangle, Cruel Sister. He didn't know nothing about this. Nothing at all. And so I was telling him about Bert Jansch and Richard Thompson and how this band kind of modernized a lot of English folk music. And so we listened to side one, most of side one, and it blew him away because, again, no one ever plays him stuff like this. You know, Jackie McShee's voice on here is lovely, and the playing on it is great. So as we're listening and he's getting entranced by it, I really enjoy the fact that he listens. He's an active listener like me. He was trying to think of a reference, something he heard of. He said, "Oh, I love this. Isn't this kind of like what's that guy's name? Gary what? Red Hash?" He said, "Gary Higgins, Red Hash." I said, I would have never thought that. I have Red Hash, so I pulled it. Said, "Let's listen." I said, "Interesting," because I had turned him onto this, and he liked it, a while back. So I said, "Okay, interesting. Well, let's check," because in my mind, right away, no, they are not similar. The Pentangle has definitely got an English historical sort of feel to it. And so when we put this on, this is a great album, by the way, and it was immediately evident, but it was great to be able to talk about it with Blake and have him hear it, because it's like they're both acoustic guitars, but the setting and where they're going musically are completely different. This is like a guy playing for you his stuff. The Pentangle sounds like it has a history. It does. It literally does sound. It sounds English too. The Gary Higgins sounds American. So that was fun to listen to that with him. The other thing that, a couple other things. So I received a birthday present in the mail on Saturday. Jim Fields, I know you watched this. What a pleasant surprise, Jim. Thank you for this wonderful birthday present. Jim Fields is a friend filmmaker who is currently working on a documentary about rock music in Nebraska. And it's quite an undertaking, and it looks like Jim is getting it done. But he found this and he sent it to me. The LA Carnival would like to pose a question. I've talked about this band. These guys are from Omaha. They have that very collectible single, the only one they ever produced back when they were together, and I have a copy. I've told the story about how the band, these guys, would come and jam at the house, and they would study under my dad, and they presented my dad with a copy of the single. They were really proud of it, and it's rare. There's only 50 copies of it. They only made 50 copies, but I have it. But Jim, thank you for giving this album to me. I already had it on CD, but this is nice to get it. I love vinyl. The whole package. The big artwork and the disc. What's cool is this album. I hadn't listened to it in a while. This is good, and I love the fact that on several songs they're topical with the lyrics, talking about civil rights, racism. Some of the so-called love songs or get booty songs are embarrassing because they're those adolescent, almost misogynistic type of lyrics that used to be cool, or at least ways that's how guys used to sing. Ooh, I can't even. They're cringeworthy to me, but the music and overall the album is really good. Thank you, Jim, for that gift. I appreciate it very much. I had talked about in our recent video how Peter Gabriel was a big influence on me growing up. You got to a point where I stopped. It's like I just don't listen hardly ever. So I pulled some on purpose yesterday, and I listened to Passion. Wow. Music for the Last Temptation of Christ. This is Peter Gabriel goes deep. That's what I've always liked about him. In making his music, he's taking his time. He's been like the Turtle over the years, taken 5 years between albums at the minimum to release another solo album. And so kind of got to the point where it's like he kind of faded into the background for me. So this was a wonderful listen. It's just super deep and playing with musicians from all over the world. It's wonderful. That, and I'll show this. Yeah, I played a little bit of this. I've showed it before. English band, Quatermass. Peter Robinson, the keyboardist, who's done a lot of work outside of this, I think in film. But when this came out in 1970, I can remember the first time I saw this in a Musicland record store because it was so striking. And you couldn't listen to records. When I was real young, they would play records for you in the record store. By the time 1970 hit, most stores weren't doing that anymore. So I couldn't hear this, and I don't remember them playing this on the underground radio here in Omaha. But I love that cover. And Black Sheep of the Family is one of the standout tracks on this. Still love that cover. So how are you all doing? So Cubby will be in town this week. I don't know that I'll see him because even when Cubby was in town, I hardly saw him. I'm real honored that I got him to play on the record. We'll see if he has any time. I won't be insulted or take it personally if I don't see him because that's not how our relationship has always been. The connection is the music. One thing I want to also say is, I think I've said it before, but I want to say it again. Part of why I have this picture of me up on the wall behind me, it's for me, but it's also for my entire family. Okay? This is the sort of thing that a lot of people, especially old school, when you get your awards and your trophies and stuff, you put them on the wall, you display them. You're proud of them. And I am. And so when I got my picture on the cover of this magazine, that was a big deal to me, It's like, wow, that's some recognition. And then when I come to find out that they had this blow-up of it at the office and that I could have one, that's loud and proud on my wall, since 2016. So that's what that's about. It is. It's a proud moment. And I love sitting here and seeing myself behind me like that. And, I do very unashamedly think of my family and my parents. And that in many ways that represents them, that we have a presence in the world, but here in Omaha, I represent. So I thought I'd share that, It's a proud moment. I love seeing it there. Okay. It's a Monday. I have to go to the post office. We had rain, so my lawn is ready for a mow, but at the same time, I'm of a mind of those naturists who say, leave the lawn for a while. Don't always mow it because it's good for bees. And bees are essential to the planet. We had been killing them off stupidly. So sometimes I like to leave the lawn for that purpose. I do have bees. There are bees. And they are vital. Okay, family. Hope you guys are doing good out there in California. Everybody, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. As always, drop me a line and let me know how you're doing. What's going on?